The idea of a state as a picture of art. It is a book of Jacob Burckhardt, an historian of 19th century. This is interesting because according to Burckhardt, the idea of a state was in relation with the idea of tyranny, but at the same time, the idea of a tyranny is in relation with the idea of a force. At the same time, this is the main topic that Burckhardt developed. His idea, in fact, it was in relation with the fact that the tyrant, or the idea of the beginning of the modern age in Italy, in particular in the Renaissance of Italy, it is that there were a lot of tyrants or a lot of little city-states that develop their type of politics in relation with the other type of states, in particular against themselves, but also against the important other national states. On the one hand, in fact, according to Burckhardt, the tyrants tried to develop their power, to impose their power on the other city-states or on the other little states in Italy, in the Italian peninsula. But at the same time, this idea that these tyrants used their power to promote the art, to develop their power, to increase their power. This is another type of topic because, according to Burckhardt, at the beginning of the modern age, in particular in the Renaissance of Italy, there was the explosion of the art as a consequence of the main type of conflicts that were part of the Italian peninsula, also as a defense against the strangers, in particular, for example, the population of France or the Kingdom of France. Technically, we know that Carlos VIII arrived into the Italian peninsula in 1494, invading the Italian peninsula, and that there was, in this sense, the answer of Niccolò Machiavelli that explained that the strangers arrived in the Italian peninsula, imposing their power in the Italian peninsula against the Italian population. And this type of topic, it is interesting because, according to Burckhardt, therefore, Machiavelli, it is important in relation with the fact that Machiavelli supported the idea of a specific type of, a new type of potential national state in relation with the fact that there were the strangers that tried to impose their power on the Italian peninsula, that it was divided. But at the same time, the main argument of Burckhardt is it was that a different type of little states had a lot of tyrants, had a lot of tyrannies that use their power to create a new type of art. And this type of actions to maintain their power to maintain this power on this type of between this type of tyrants, it was in relation with it wasn't it didn't consider specifically a morality. Therefore, it was technically a behavior without morality. But this type of behavior without morality, it was in relation with the idea of the power that man, that was a tyrant, had to arrive to take. Therefore, according to Burckhardt, this type of tension, this type of connection between the tension between power and force and the idea of the ethic that it was decided only by the tyrant in relation with his power, created a new type of structure in the Italian peninsula as art, as the main objective of the state of a tyrant. And in this sense, in fact, according to Burckhardt, it wasn't a case that the main type of topic and the main type of idea that the first type of modern age in the Italian peninsula and in the Renaissance was created in relation with the politics or in relation with the philosophy of politics. It was that idea that wanted to impose the realpolitik between the others, created in particular by Cesare Borgia, with the idea that this type of sovereign wanted to impose a connection between the different type of little states of Italy with a realpolitik, with the force or the morality that it was only the morality of the kingdom as the king that decides what was just and unjust, to impose technically a new type of structure, to connect this structure to limit the strangers, and at the same time indirectly the structure of the art as a consequence of this power. Technically, in fact, the states as a picture of art, it was a sort of consequence of this type of conflicts between, according to Burckhardt, the different type of tyrants of Italy that had to discover a new type of hegemony that in the Italian peninsula it was a consequence in this sense of the Renaissance, that it was only a relationship between this type of conflicts that wanted to arrive to find a new type of sovereign. It is interesting in fact that the realpolitik, it was the art, it was a consequence of realpolitik. According to Burckhardt, therefore, according to this type of idea, the conflict produced the art as the main type of idea between the strangers and between the conflict on the different type of tyrannies of the Italian peninsula. This is why this book of Burckhardt, it was called The State as a Picture, technically. And this is interesting because Burckhardt, in this type of book, differently, for example, from the others, where he spoke about, for example, the idea of the Christianity and the Constantine, there is a book where Burckhardt tried to explain how the Christianity arrived into the Roman Empire, explained that the state arrived to impose its type of hegemony with the idea of the realpolitik without the morality, but only with the tyrant or the tyrants that conflict, that develop war between themselves, to in the end impose or with indirectly arrive to a new type of art, the art that these tyrants produce indirectly. Bye.